This is going to be a slightly short video about an open letter to the LGBTQIA plus community, the entirety of all of you. I've timestamped everything so you guys can navigate through the video. I'm B. That's right, I am B. You can see that right now on screen. You can see that I'm the B letter. Point out your letter in the comments. Let me know what you are. I just want to know where you line on this list so we can talk about this and have an open discussion. I do want to point out that I am not attacking you in this video. This is not an attack. This is an open letter and discussion and conversation. And I may not reply to all your comments, to be quite real with you, but I do want to talk about it and expand my mindset of solutions we could possibly have. And I'll offer a few things. I also want to point out this is a very subjective video. Very subjective video. If you feel offended in anything that I say, or if you're angry about anything that I say, please let me know what you're specifically angry about so we can talk about it in a reasonable manner. You can also message me on Instagram or on Discord. Let's talk about history for a moment. Marsha Johnson. You may not know who Marsha Johnson is. Marsha Johnson founded STAR. In 1969, it was a Stonewall uprising, and then afterwards, there was STAR being founded. She advocated for BIPOC inclusion and the gay liberation movement. It was an entire thing because, you may not know this, it's very important, when women's rights were first being talked about, that only included basically white women. That was basically just it. It was not black women included in there. It was just white women. So that happens when in most movements, a lot of the movements that start don't include people of color. Now, this is very important why I say people of color, because we're going to talk about why that statement sucks. There was Sylvia Rivera. This is all based off my memory, so I may have some of the dates wrong. I apologize. This is just me. I believe she was a trans Latina who co-founded STAR with Marsha Johnson. Then there was Janet Mock. She is also important in the aspect too. I'm just talking about the people that come to note in mind when talking about the LGBTQ history. Throughout history, there have been people that deeply hate and resent gay people. Anybody that is in any some way queer or lesbian or trans in some capacity, it has been a long and hard fight to get where we are today. That is very important to talk about because we cannot forget history. We can move past it. We can become greater than our history. We can become more stronger because of it. Or stronger. More stronger isn't really a phrase. More strong will be better. But we have to become greater because of it. This is important because now we have too much freedom. Now, I appreciate everything that the LGBTQ community has done. I appreciate how accepting they are and how progressive they are and how willing they are to speak about everything and how much it matters to speak about each specific issue. However, because now there's too much freedom, everybody has a say in everything. This creates a muggled mess. It's a big cloud of what the solidified definitions are. And the big issue why we can't have solidified definitions is, first and foremost, it's about introspection. If you're gay, nobody else can really see it. You can say, oh, I look gay, but that's not true. You can portray yourself as gay, but a lot of people that are gay don't look gay. Take Republicans, for example. And this isn't a joke. I'm very serious about this. When I go on Grindr, there are a lot of DL men that are married that will hit me up. A lot of them are trying to explore their sexuality in many different ways because they're scared to be introspective. They're scared to actually accept themselves. It may seem like a joke to say that, but that's very real. There's a lot of women who are forced in a relationship with a man because they grew up in a Christian household, and that happens. And they have to be introspective, and they don't know what it means to be introspective. And so they make up a bunch of things that they are. For instance, a lot of people conflate the things and say, oh, well, what about demisexual? Demisexual is just regular sexuality. You're just attracted to the person. Demisexual is when you experience no sexual attraction. And it's a spectrum, obviously, everything is. When you experience no sexuality, no sexual attraction, unless you have the emotional connection to the person and it becomes deeper the more you know them. Well, that's just regular sexuality. Well, yes, it is. But the first part is a different part. It's where in the beginning you experience nothing. You don't view people as sexual objects. A lot of people view people as aspects of lust. Demisexual circumvents that. That's an important aspect. So there's a bunch of different definitions, but no agreed upon definitions. No agreed upon things and how people should operate. But people are different. It's about self-expression. But it's self-expression, but you want the world to see what the self-expression is, but the world can't really understand it because it takes too much research. And in an era where everybody reads the headline but not the article, you can't expect them to do the research. You can't expect people that have nothing but instant gratification with DoorDash to actually take the time out of their day to learn about the inner minutiae and inner workings of things. You can't do that. I don't even do that. I don't. I try my best to, but I get things wrong all the time. I try my best to research and be a little bit informed about each moment and every section of what I'm doing, but it's very difficult. Now that we got that out the way and stay at the baseline of how much I do love, respect all of you, and all of you matter to me, you really do, let's start talking about the issues. Let's start with G. I believe gay people, more so gay men, are pretty much the big leaders of the LGBTQ. I know it starts with an L for lesbian, but a lot of people say G is the biggest letter. They're leading the charge. Because gay men are in there, but there's also gay white men. And gay white men feel like they run the world. This is a big issue. You will see gay white men adopt traits of the idea and caricature of black women. They won't actually be what a black woman is, but they'll adopt the stereotype of a black woman with the way they feminize their voice, with the way their speech patterns adopt, with the way they put in weave and the way they do their makeup and do nails. It is very reminiscent of a black woman. They'll start using AAVE and they'll be very catty and mean and drama filled. Now that I've stated this, please note that is a very vocal minority. It is a very vocal minority that does that. It is not the big corpus of all gay men that do that. The vocal minority, however, is vocal. When people think of a gay man, they often envision the black caricature woman stereotype of a white gay male saying, "Oh, I don't know why you do that, daddy. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I love you. Oh, you're so sexy." The James Charles archetype look with the black woman AAVE vernacular with the hand clapping and the fights. And that's an issue. Primarily with black gay men and white gay men. This happens a lot. And you'll see this. This is a big issue. Why is this an issue? Because and I don't know why it is, they take the caricature traits. They believe they have to be this over-exaggeration, this stereotype of what they have to be in order to be accepted, when in reality, they don't have to do that. Gay men don't have to do that, not at all. As a matter of fact, one of my friends, gay guy, doesn't do anything extra, doesn't do anything kink related, just, I'm gay. Wears a button up most of the time, goes to work, bald head, doesn't do anything outwardly gay. And people say, oh, he must be a top. You're assuming again. Stop assuming. You can't assume based off appearance. That's the entire thing. It's the entire thing what we want to get rid of. We want to get rid of gender stereotypes, sexuality stereotypes, destroying the gender norms, right? Want to get rid of that? You can't assume. Get to know him. He's a bottom. Great bottom, too. Great guy. He has to douche. Has to do enemas. Can't eat before he sleeps with his partner. Great man. However, people have a big issue with gay men because being viewed as feminine is the worst thing a man can be viewed as. It is the worst thing. It is the absolute bottom barrel to be viewed as feminine. I want you to, it's an experiment. If you see a man, say that he's sweet and he's cute. See a masculine man. If he's insecure, he'll get angry. As a matter of fact, call any man a feminine phrase that is very insecure and super masculine. Guess what? They're going to crumple like paper. They're going to, oh my goodness. Why would you call me that? Why'd you call me that? Hey, why'd you call me that? Hey, you think I'm sweet? You think I'm cute? No, I'm not sweet or cute. I'm handsome. I'm attractive. I'm sexy. Red. I got 2 baby daddies. It's a whole thing. So you can't really do that. You can't really do that. And when a man is viewed as feminine, he's viewed in the same way a woman is. And a lot of women trust gay men. Because for one thing and one thing only, and people say this statement and it makes so much sense, gay men treat women how men treat men. Think about that for a second. Gay men treat women how men treat other men. Friends. No sexual deviancy below that. Nothing. No extra. And that's why women trust gay men. I want a gay best friend. You often hear this all the time. I want a gay best friend. The gay wrist, by the way. This is the gay wrist. This is what black moms do to say it's your friend, you know. That's the whole thing. This is the stereotype too. Oftentimes, women will say, I want a gay best friend. When they want that gay best friend, what they want is somebody that won't view them as a sexual object. That's, to break it down to the brass tacks, they probably don't even want a gay best friend. They just want somebody, they just want to be friends with a man without the aspect that they secretly want to sleep with them. That's it. It's that simple. That's it. However, straight men don't like gay men because gay men are trying to do what they do to women. That's the biggest issue. They're like, oh, I don't want a man to view me like a sexual object. That's weird. That's gross. However, in that same breath, when a gay man says, I'm not attracted to you, a straight man would often say, well, why not? What, something unattractive about me? Your nails are dirty. What? And they look at their nails and they are dirty. They have no self-care at all. Their skin routine is in shambles. Sucks. And oftentimes this becomes a big dividend issue. Well, maybe the man is secretly gay. And this is where the retaliation starts. A lot of retaliation speak will happen in this aspect, where people will say, oh, well, you're gay if. Well, you're gay because. Well, you're gay if. A lot of straight guys don't want to hear that. A lot of straight women don't want to hear that too. A lot of straight people just don't want to hear that. A lot of cis people just don't want to hear that. But it's a retaliation tactic in order to show them what it feels like to be assumed of. And it works because it gets them angry. But that anger isn't turning into introspection. That anger is turning into anger towards you again because you're assuming what they are. And now you have a fight within a fight. You're fighting each other. And I know this is going to be strange to hear considering I was just talking about how much I love you guys. But gay men have this big issue where they're still men. I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget you're still men. A lot of gay men, on Grindr especially, get very violent and mad at me. Get very violent and mad at certain people. Get very angry. Get very catty. Fight women. Will do evil things. Will be very drama-filled. It's as if it's built into your culture. It's disgusting. And that's a stereotype. And if it's minority, but it's very vocal. A lot of people have this assumption about gay men that they're very drama-filled, they're catty, they're evil, and that they're kind when they have to be. They care for your sisters and they care for queens. And oh my God, bitch, you're so beautiful, bitch. Oh my God, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting to have the stereotype be what it is. It's nasty. I don't like it. You can be gay without being an exaggeration of yourself. But that's what expression is supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be what you're repressed inside of your body. And that's fair. But you know what? You're right. You can be what you are repressed inside your body. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the fact that you were repressed for all these years and you finally have a moment of self-expression. And now you want to show the world. It's like when a child makes a macaroni art and he wants to show his parents, guys, look at me. Look at me, look at me. And I grasp it. But you gotta have some self-reservation too. It's called self-control. You can be your exaggerated persona. You can be whatever you want to be. But understand that people are going to look at you. They're going to have their reservations about what you are. They're going to hate it. And you can say to yourself, well, I don't care about what they think. But the entire aspect of the movement is to get the world on board with it. There needs to be some restriction in the insanity of it all. And I know it's supposed to be outwardly expressive. It's supposed to be boisterous, flamboyant. The world's supposed to see how flaming you are. You're supposed to create a fire, a storm. You're supposed to shake mountains and move people within their hearts and their souls so that they can see how beautiful and amazing you are. And you are beautiful. But the average person isn't going to see that beauty. They're going to hate it because they hate themselves. And that sucks. It's painful to hear that. It's horrifying. But you got to manipulate people a little bit in order to be what you are. Now then, we're done talking about the G's. Let's talk about the L's. That's right. I'm talking to you lesbians. Now, this is purely of my own personal experience. And this is purely what I've witnessed. But I believe there are a few varieties of lesbians. Now, same way there's varieties of gays. There's otters, bears, things of that variety. There's tops and bottoms and things all that. I don't know how you guys feel about the word, but every time I talk to one of them, they say the word. It's either between a stud, butch, and I'm going to say it, I don't know if it's an insult, so don't destroy me in the comments. Dyke. I hear these phrases all the time, and lesbians use them interchangeably. And a lot of people believe that because they're women, oh, this is great. This is going to be a lot easier than men. Wrong again. Wrong again. Because this is going to suck to hear, and this is going to feel really specific and slightly misogynistic, so get ready for it. A lot of women do not have the chutzpah, the bravado, the natural go-getter attitude, and the unearned confidence of men to pick up people. And it's going to suck to hear that. It's very strange to hear that. A lot of them don't have it. I remember when I gave up trying to impress women in their entire, I just stopped doing it. And a girl tried to approach me and tried to hit on me. And it was very awkward. And I'll see a lot of women that are lesbians say, oh, I just tell a girl she's pretty until she falls in my lap. And she's pretty and she's beautiful and she's pretty. Now, it may not seem as threatening because you're not a man. Still pathetic. It still feel if it's pathetic. I had a girl. I still have the girl in my Discord. And she says, oh, I just wish I had a girl to love on me. That's pathetic. That's still pathetic. That's pathetic to hear. I'm not going to lie to you. Still pathetic. This is an open letter to a lot of lesbians. I don't have many critiques, but that's one of them. I'm just going to get my critiques out the way. That's pathetic. Moving in with each other too fast is a common joke within the lesbian community where, oh, we moved in too fast. We moved in a lot. We moved in like 2 seconds in 2 days. Yeah. That's a problem. Moving in too fast is a big issue. You should not do that. And I thought it was I thought it was just some massive joke. I thought it was like, oh, these few instances. No, I've witnessed it countless times. And I witnessed a 2-month relationship where they both hate each other and they're throwing stuff at each other and it's really bad. And then the lesbian ends up sleeping with the baby daddy of the other lesbian and then having a child. Now the partners have the child and it's a joint child and it's this whole mess. Now the guy's two baby mamas are dating each other and it's a bit of a mess. Now this isn't about specifically lesbians here. But fake lesbians, there aren't that many fake gay men, to be quite real with you. There really aren't. They're not prevalent. Unless they're chasers trying to get with a trans man, they're really not that prevalent. However, there are a lot of fake lesbians that will leave their man. They'll be mad at their man and say, you know what? Fine. I'll just date women instead. This is a note from the LGBTQ community to you straight women watching this. We all hate that. All of us collectively hate that. We don't like any of it. As a matter of fact, if you are a fake lesbian saying that, well, I'm just experimenting and the lesbians don't want to be your experiment. I apologize if I'm speaking for women here. I do want to apologize ahead of time. I'm just stating my own opinions and I'm not speaking for all women, but I am speaking for the friends that I have and the people around me. We hate that. That's not fun. To get all hyped up and emotional about in a relationship and some future aspect with you, and you're just using me as an experiment. I'm not Frankenstein's monster, dude. Don't do that. That's messed up. That's weird. It's weird to do that. To say, oh, well, women are pretty and beautiful, and I appreciate them for their minds. You can like a woman because she has a fat rack, dude. It's okay. You can like her for her voluptuous lumps. You can like her for her cake. Are you sexually attracted to a woman? Well, I'm more mentally attracted than sexually attracted. Cool. Are you going to sleep with the woman? What? The sex isn't everything. That lesbian wants to sleep with you. 100% she wants to eat you out. She wants to treat you to dinner and you're going to be the dinner. She's treating you. She's baking you on the cake. She's Jeffrey Dahmer without the cannibalism. She wants to do that. That's what's happening there. Well, I have to ease into it. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you and your excuses. Sick of it. And as I pointed out in the gay section, if you skip that and just get to this section, got to bring this up again. Specifically, white lesbians who turn into studs and proceed to act like a black guy. Don't know where that comes from. Wearing a white beater and sweats and putting on a do-rag and saying, what's good, shawty? How you doing? You're beautiful. I love you. That's odd. That's very strange. And it's not even a black, it's still the caricature and the stereotype of what, not even a black guy, a nigga, just specifically that. That's specifically what you're portraying in that aspect. That's strange. That's odd. Why would you do that? And that's specifically studs. Now I'm not gonna say the word again, the DYKE one. I don't know if that's actually. I don't want to use that word. I just don't want to use it to describe them. But that's specifically. I've only seen it for black women that are lesbians. That's what I've seen, and studs too. I've seen it for more so that. I feel like stud and the other one are interchangeable. I feel like they're interchangeable. I don't know all the terminology. I tried to research before I did this much as I could. I don't have a script. I'm just here. So outside of that, we have butch lesbians. These are lesbians that specifically act like white men. Now this is very specific. Wearing a flannel, you're at a bar. You say, hey, I like you. I want you. Maybe a bit muscular, often tops, sometimes, very rarely bottoms. We respect you. Now, it seems like I don't have a lot of critiques about lesbians. Well, that's because I'm just here. I'm not actively a part of the lesbian community. Now, naturally, by virtue of the trade, I am a lesbian. I love women. But that's a Drake line, I think. I think that's a Drake line. I hate that. That's such a funny bar, too. That's the worst part. It's so funny. It's so funny to say that as a man. Just to say, I'm a lesbian, I like pussy. It's so funny. I think it's the funniest, stupidest, misogynistic thing ever. This is going to be a side tangent here. Bring back 1930s misogyny, but only the funny parts. Just bring that back. That's funny. I like it. Just, hey, how you doing, tuts? Hey, sugar tits. Just the vernacular. Bring back the vernacular of 1930s misogyny. Bring back transatlantic accents for 6 seconds. Sorry, I got excited. I apologize. Now then, B. That's me right here. Remember in the beginning when I said I'm B? That's me. I'm B. A lot of bisexual people are deeply hated, and I don't know why that is. I have an entire video coming out talking about how I feel about the bisexual hate, so I won't talk about the points here, but I do want to point out fake bisexuals. There are a disgusting amount of fake bisexual people. Bisexual people that, let me give you an example, because commonly I believe they're called chasers, and I talked about this a little bit in the lesbian section. There will be a man who will say he's bisexual to get with a woman who is also bisexual, but the guy is not attracted to men at all. He just doesn't want to be considered straight because she doesn't date straight men. And the guy, he's a little bit feminine, he's a little bit flamboyant, but he is in no way, in any capacity, attracted to men. And that's okay. I believe that would be more of the queer side, more than it is the bisexual side. But that's perfectly fine. That's okay. The issue arises where there will be these women or men. For instance, I have a person I know, their partner began to transition, right? Person began to transition. And then afterwards, when they began to transition, partner got really upset with it. They said, oh, I'm scared your penis won't work. And the now woman said, well, it doesn't matter if my penis won't work. I don't want it. I don't want to use it. It's unimportant to me. And then my friend said, well, yeah. And my friend had championed themselves as somebody that's bisexual. They kept saying, oh, I'm bisexual. Yeah, I'm not straight. I'm definitely not straight. Definitely not straight. I'm non-binary and I'm bisexual. And I said, okay, cool, 100%. Easy. Fine by me. Super simple. However, that it feels fake. I'm not gonna lie, it feels fake. I don't mean to call people out on their journey, but it feels as if you said it in order just to not be straight. And a lot of bisexual people will just say that. Same with I'm just putting them together. Pansexual, bisexual, this drama between you two. You two have beef for some reason. There's this big beef where the hearts not parts argument comes into play. I'm just addressing everything, by the way. There's this big beef between the two groups where pansexual people will say, well, I love all people. Trans, I love queer, I love intersex, I love men, gay men, all that. I love everything. That's pansexual, right? Bisexual is, I like men and women, or any two combination, any two. It doesn't matter what two it is. It could be gay men and straight men. Doesn't matter. Just any two. Bisexual can be any two. Realistic. That's what it is now. Because definitions keep evolving and changing. That's what happens all the time. We'll get to that later in the video. This is a big issue. Why are they fighting? What's the point of the battle between the two? Because people say pansexual shouldn't exist because we have bisexual, and bisexual is everything. Well, that just denotes it down to body parts because it's not always about body parts. You can't have anything but those two things down there, so bisexual people are happy with either. Some bisexual people don't date trans people. Well, that's transphobic. No, well, pansexual people date trans people. Well, sorry, pansexual people date trans people. Yes, that's the whole thing because they accept everybody. Unless they're bisexual or some trisexual. There's a whole span of them. And this gets into the bigger issue of what I want to talk about here. There's so much that people in the community can't keep up with everything. They can't. They just can't keep up with everything. There's no universe in which we're going to be able to keep up with everything. It's not happening. And that's the biggest issue there. But we're going to talk about the last group in totality before I get to the bigger, smaller issues. The T. That's right. You see Mr. T behind me. The T. This is the most divisive group in the entire acronym. This is just the most divisive group. Why is that? Well, nobody agrees on a goddamn thing. Not one. There's no true agreement. There's no definitive definitions here. It's all new. This is new territory. We're relearning stuff that was destroyed in history books. We're relearning everything because it's new stuff for everybody. It's all new. It's all new. However, in that newness, there's nothing but arguments. For instance, let's say you are a trans woman, right? Say you're a trans woman. You start estrogen, HRT, hormones. And then out of nowhere, your gonad square stops working and you're confused. And now you say to yourself, oh no, I didn't know that was going to happen. What was the point of that entirety? Now this happens sometimes where some people get regretful. Not often, but it does happen. And they're not used to it. And they say, well, I guess I better keep going. And then they don't like the fact they have that down there. They don't like the fact that they have a pussy now. And that's an issue. Then happens to trans men. Trans men will often get into arguments with men and say, well, I know what it's like to be a man now because I'm a trans man. And men will say, no, you don't. If you do, then you should get rejected by women. You should have all the bad traits of a man too. And we're trying to reinvent the definitions of what the words mean now. However, we're trying to reinvent the definitions while doing the stereotype activities. For instance, if you dress masculine, wearing jeans and a white beater. Well, I'm dressing masculine today, so I feel more like a man. Aren't you trying to reinvent the definitions? Isn't that true? Yeah, but this makes me feel more comfortable because most people will identify me in public as a man. Let me explain why I stated the statement the way that I did. The argument that I'm using about the reinvention while fitting into the stereotypes is the argument you're going to hear from people that don't understand. Why are you trying to reinvent it if you're doing the stereotype actions of the gender? Why are you being more feminine and flamboyant if that's not what all women are? That's because each group that I've stated are completely separate from each other. They are not together. This is not the acronym is not collective. They're next to each other for sure, like neighbors. But the neighbors don't know what's going on in each other's houses. They're all just neighbors, realistically. And they all respect each other. They all love each other. They meet up every Friday to have lunch. But what they're doing throughout the entire week, nobody knows. No one has any idea what's going on inside those households. They have no clue. Changes up every week. Every week it changes. Who knows what's going on? And inside the houses with the neighbors, each person within it has their own idea of what the meaning of the words is. And this comes to a head with the bigger issues of why it's so confusing. It's confusing because there's no set definitions at all. None. Just doesn't exist. There's not a single definition. You could think to yourself, but this is a definitive definition of nope. For instance, let's use a fun example. Let's use gay for example. If you're gay, you like men. Cool. Gay guy likes men. He wants to be with a man. Super simple. Very easy. However, let's bring T into G. Let's bring them together. Gay man. Will a gay man be with a trans man? Gay man might be with a trans man, but Other gay men will shun that gay man because they'll say you're not really gay because that trans man has a pussy. And then the gay man will say, but that's still a man. Now we have infighting. That, boom, we start an argument for no reason. When in reality, this is my solution to all that. This is my big solution. This is my big grandiose solution. Let's elect leaders. This is stupid. Let's elect leaders to come up with a thesaurus, a Webster definition of the words. And let's all come together and get like a big influencer, perhaps somebody we all respect. I don't know who we all I don't know who we hate Ellen DeGeneres now. She sucks. Patrick Stewart, I don't know. I have no idea I don't know who the gay ambassador is. I have no idea. RuPaul? Is it RuPaul? I have no idea. I don't know. Is it Woody from Toy Story? He's gay, right? Woody's gay. I have no idea. We have elected officials decide the definitions of the new words. This is what we do. That's what we do. That's what happens. I feel like that would help or make things drastically worse. The issue here is that nobody wants to come together and actively decide things because, this is very important, it's impossible. It can't happen. It can't happen. Reason it can't happen is because the LGBTQ movement is a deep journey of introspection and discovery. It's deciding who you want to be, and it's not changing the world, it's changing yourself. It's deciding that you are sapiosexual or demisexual or pansexual or agender or asexual. And gender and sexuality and pronouns are all three separate things, but they all can go in between combinations. And you're creating your character. That's why a lot of people in LGBTQ like RPGs. You're creating your character. You're allowing yourself to be the truest version of yourself. You're allowing yourself to be the biggest and most powerful version of yourself in this aspect. That's important. And because it's a journey of introspection, when you make a discovery about yourself and it doesn't align with everybody else, you feel a little bit ostracized. And you want to be inclusive, so you make a whole new thing. Neo-pronouns. Do a whole new thing. Zer, zim, it's, we. French, I don't know. You just end up making whole new things for yourself. And you will expect the world to understand you. But I want to point this out as somebody that's been in this community for quite some time. The world is never, ever going to understand us. I mean this with my whole chest. There will always be opposition. This will always be the weird thing. We're very small. We're very vocal. We're very small. We're not that big. We're not large. It's not a large amount of us that are open about it. Some households still can't accept the fact that their child likes penis and they're a man. That the child likes box and they're a woman. That the child may not be born the correct body, and they may say to themselves, well, I'm not a man. I was meant to be a woman. How do you know that? I don't feel correct in this body. And they may say they may have mental disabilities, and they may say they may have BPD or gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia, and they may feel like incorrect in their body. And they may say it's trauma-based. They may say all these other things, and that may be true. Who knows? I know a lot of people in the LGBTQ community are not mentally well. I'm not mentally well. At all. I know I'm not. But to say the sexuality in itself is the mental debilitation, to say that is the mental illness, that's incorrect. The sexuality in itself, the gender that you are, the trans thing that you are, that's not the mental defect. That is a consequence of the mental defect. It's a consequence of what's going on around you to know that something's wrong. Something wrong's with you, and that creates a divot in your brain. Something's wrong inside of you, and you got to fix it. And now we have science to be able to fix it. We're able to get past it. We're able to become more of who we want to be. And that's powerful. That's great. I'm proud of that. That's the most amazing thing on the planet. However, I have to talk about something that I can talk about. This will be the last big section of the video, I feel. Let's talk about black people. So, for some odd, unexplainable reason, a lot of people in the LGBT community think, and I don't know why this is, that just because two people go through struggles, they are the same exact thing. That's not true. Black people, this is going to sound crazy, are not the same as the LGBTQ community. I know they can be interchangeable and they can fit in the same group and it's really fun. But a large amount, this is going to sound crazy, a large amount of black people just don't get it. And that's okay. You can't educate them either. They may be too old or just literally too ignorant or too ghetto to grasp it. They just don't want to. They just refuse to. They've grown up with it their entire lives and they refuse to be progressive, and that's okay. They're not on the right. No, they're not Republicans. They're partial Democrats, but not as far left as you. They're not centrist either. They just hate Donald Trump and love black people. That's pretty much it. They don't care about gay people. They just hate Donald Trump and love black people. That's it. It's a lot of black people. That's really what it is. It's crazy to say that, but that's the reality of it. And for some reason, you guys took colored person, flipped it around and put of in between and said, you're not a colored person. You're a person of color. That's not really progressive. I'm not going to lie to you. That's really not progressive. I know you guys made BIPOC, black, indigenous, people of color, but that's not really, it's the same term, just flipped around. Doesn't work. It feels disingenuous. It doesn't feel correct. But this is important. This is really important. Black people have been going through struggles forever. You can look not gay. You can look not lesbian. As a matter of fact, if you're trans, you don't have to transition sometimes. You may want to, you may need to, but you don't have to. It's a big difference. I can't stop being black. I can't. When I wake up, I'm a nigga. Hold on a second. Somebody can look at you and say they might not be gay. If you're outwardly gay and you're dressing in a way that seems flamboyant, they can tell. If you're dressing like a lesbian, unless you're a bottom where you're just like a flowery, mousy little girl, you know what I'm saying, like a mousy white girl, then they can't tell. However, you can shut off your clothing. You can not dress masculine. You can dress more feminine. You can do that. I can't put on a button up and get my hair done and be a different race. I can't do that. I'm always black. And this is very important because I keep hearing a lot of people in the LGBTQ say, I don't understand why black people don't like the LGBTQ. Because you're trying to take our struggle and make it yours. Two separate things, two separate struggles. In the same sense that when the women's rights movement started, it didn't include black women. The reason the LGBTQ community may not include all black people is because there are gay white men. There are white men. This is going to sound crazy and very specific to race. There are white men within the LGBTQ. That is basically the biggest reason. I know it sounds stupid to say that. It sounds so dumb. And I hate talking about race like this because it breaks us down to just the color of our skin. Well, that's how society works. And I don't like thinking about society like that. I hate it. I really do. Because people aren't like that. People to people, we're not like that. Individually, we're barely like that. It's only when we get in communities or groups or church or cults or big groups of more than 5. Groups of more than 5 at a bar. If it's just one-on-one, I could probably speak to somebody with a swastika on their tattoo in their arm. I've done it before. I could probably speak to a member of the KKK if it's one-on-one because they don't have their group with them. It's very hard to be hateful when it's just a one-on-one conversation. It's extremely difficult, especially if you don't know the person. It's very difficult. It's very difficult when there's not a crowd to witness you, when there's no applause, there's no gravitas. Very difficult. It's very hard to do that. But being black in America is something that you, if you're another race, can't get povertied into. You can't get oppressed into being black, right? And the LGBTQ community thinks they can be oppressed into being black. That's why they pick up AAVE. They pick up those terms because they feel like, okay, well, I'm a gay white man and my black sisters are being oppressed and I'm pick up their slang and use it so we can all be together. That's not how it works. A lot of black people hate that. They despise it. Now, I will say this. If you make something popular, black people, this is to you black people, if you make something popular, you can't covet it and make everybody not use it. People are going to rap. It's going to happen. People are going to put on do-rags. It's going to happen. That's the reality of the world. It's not, there's going to be a pop the balloon, but just for white people. It's going to be a whole thing. That's what happens. It's just the reality of the world. It's so muggled in so much infighting and so angry all the time between so many different groups, and people feel like their voices aren't being heard, and they feel like they're getting pushed down and backed into a corner and annihilated and destroyed because, for the grand scheme of it all, it's personal. And you get overly emotional about every single thing because it's personal, because it matters to you, because this isn't some random movement. This isn't just some group. It's you. It's your identity. It's who you are. It's who you want to be. It's who you're fighting to be. And you will fight. You will fight until your hands bleed and they break, and you feel like you're crying, you're mentally exhausted, and you feel like you can't go on anymore. And I have a bunch of gripes with the entire community, but I have gripes with every community. I hate the Tekken community deeply. I will never interact with the Steven Universe community ever again. I will never talk to a Dragon Ball Z fan about Dragon Ball Z for as long as I live, hopefully. I have issues with a lot of things, but I have love and strength and resilience. Gay men are so nice and very compassionate, and they're sweet to me, and they make me feel like something is inside of me that I never would have accepted, and I love that deeply. Lesbians are great to hang around because they will never be attracted to me, and it's so nice. It's so nice to be able to hang with a woman, and guess what? If I have a partner that's insecure, I can hang with a lesbian, and guess what? It's so nice because she's not scared. She's not scared at all. I'm more scared of the lesbian. She's gonna hit on my girl, and she might get her because the lesbian might be better at giving head than me. Who knows? I have no idea. No idea. Strap-on feels a little bit better. Strap-on doesn't get soft. You can get fake cum too. It's a whole thing. When it comes to bisexual people, they have an androgynous mindset, a middle ground in between. Trans people, the acceptance and strength and resilience that is shown throughout them is so nice. The beauty of what they are, the hate of society that they put on the backs and shoulders and burdens with them and still decide to be what they want to be is so powerful. That's amazing. Non-binary people, haven't talked about you much, I apologize. They, thems. You guys are outside of all the spectrum and the binary. You guys feel like you don't belong anywhere, and that's why you wanted a place to belong. You never felt like a man, never felt masculine, never felt woman, never felt feminine. You felt right in the middle or outside of it. You felt completely different. Sometimes you go by he, they, she, they, he, she, zers, them. Sometimes you go by all of it. Sometimes you accept everything. You're just outside of the entire spectrum. And you're unique too. Queer people that are experimenting, you're great. You're trying your best to be introspective. You're doing your best to be a person, and that's what matters to me. That's important. I have gripes with everything. I have issues with every single piece of a lot of things. And I wish we could all come together and break bread at the table because we're all hungry. We're all underdogs. And how can we stand our ground when everybody else is trying to bury us beneath it? How can we do that? We're angry. And sometimes that anger is viewed as insanity. You're a libtard! If you say the other one, which is R-E and then T-A-R-D, then that's... You can't really say that. That's a bad word now. Huh, that's strange. Can't do that. You're just a libtard. You're too far left. You're angry. Because you were angry at me, so I'm angry at you. And if you hear that statement and you agree with it, I want you to take a step back and realize I'm saying this to bait you. If someone is mad at you and you retaliate in anger, you have no right to do that. You can do it, for sure. As a matter of fact, it may make you feel great, but you're not going to get people on your side by retaliating anger. And you may say to yourself, well, if they see my anger, somebody else may see that I'm angry for the right reasons. I'm going to be real with you. If another person sees that and sees your anger for the right reasons, then you're going to lose more people than you gain. You have to be kind, even when you can't. Even I have to do that, and it's very hard. You have to be kind when you possibly cannot. Am I supposed to let people walk all over you? Am I supposed to let people walk all over me and ruin my life? Am I supposed to let people just spit on me and destroy me and punch me in the stomach and not retaliate? No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I recommend never doing that. Someone hits you, you don't hit them back, call the cops. Cops are against us. All cops are bastards. True. Not going to disagree with you there. But you're the victim in that situation. If you call the cops first, I discovered that the fun way. I remember when I used to get into fights all the time. I used to fight people realistically. Then I start calling the cops. Now, I'm fine. I called the cops first. Two white guys jumped me one time. I lost the fight. I called the cops, got their information. They're in prison for 20 years. Aggravated assault. I'm fine. I'm great. I didn't attack back. So they said, well, there's no damage on them. Obviously, they assaulted you and jumped you. That's going to add to their charges. Welcome to the real world. That's how it works. But I can't do that as a gay person. There are ways to fight without fighting. There are ways. Because my kindness is strategic. Your kindness has to be strategic. It can't be insulting them either. You can't just go up to them and say, oh, well, you're secretly gay. Or, oh, well, see, your logic is actually falling in on themselves. They know. I want to point this out. Every time you say something to point out the flaw and fallacies in a person's logic, and you think you've one-upped them, you got a score on them, you got them. You didn't. You didn't get a score on them. That didn't happen. You know what happened? They know that what they say is insane. They know that, and they still say it. They don't care. They know what Trump is doing. They know they hate gay people. They know that Christianity isn't about, it isn't about hating thy neighbor. They don't care. They know what they're doing, and they're still doing it. Do you think they haven't been encountered by people before? Your one opinion isn't going to change their soul, but your kindness will. I want to point this out. This is very important. This is what I will end on. I remember in school, it was the leader of a group. This guy, leader of a group. And he had 5 guys fight another 5 guys who was another group. It was 2 groups. They were both, it was like a little gang in school. And the 5 guys, they all fought each other. And 2 leaders never fought. 5 guys all fought each other. After a while, they began to compliment each other on how they fought. And the 5 guys in both the groups, totaling 10, stopped fighting. As a matter, they stopped fighting in totality. Despite the fact they hated each other, they stopped fighting because they got damaged too much. Their bodies hurt. And they came back and said, we should talk. And so the 2 guys talked to each other. No more fights. Revolutions are not won on the battlefield. Never are. Revolutions are won when the warriors that have fought for so long come home beaten and destroyed. And they can't fight anymore. That is how revolutions are won. This is an open letter to the LGBTQ community. I don't expect you to watch this entire video. This is a very long video. I thought it was going to be short, but it's been very long. I love you all. I thank you all for taking the time out to talk to me. Whether you're angry, whether you think I'm incorrect, these are all my opinions. It's completely subjective. And I'm just here to talk. I'm here to learn. I'm here to understand. If there's something new that I can possibly understand, I'd appreciate it. And I point out a lot of issues, and I have a lot more gripes, but I won't get to those. I'll make separate videos for those. Be the truest version of yourself. You should never let some random person on the internet, even me, tell you to not be who you are. You should not fall into the stereotypes. Even if I stated stereotypes in this video, don't fall into them. Be the truest version of yourself. If you want to act like a black woman and do that, fine, do that. That's how you make you feel powerful. If you want to wear dresses, if you want to dress more masculine and feel more seen, if you want to do these things, if you want to argue on the internet, do that. Be the best version of yourself that you will be proud of to look back on. Be the version that you wouldn't regret 5 years later. That's all I want. And I know you're going to regret a lot of things that you do if you keep it up. But if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Comment it. Tell me down in the comment section below. Or message me. You don't have to comment. You can message me. Instagram, Discord, whatever. If you don't want to boost me on the algorithm and get this video out, you're more than welcome to. I don't care. Your decision. The video was made for you, not for me. And it was made for me. I'm not going to lie to you. This is all my stuff. Anyways, we're actually going to talk about a few things to end here. This is the last section. True last section. I'm saying that a lot. True last section. I have a GoFundMe. I recently got into a car crash. The goal is $15,000 to get me a car and the medical expenses and things of that variety. We're at $5,000 now. We're 1/3 of the way there. I'd appreciate if I get any help. That'd be beautiful. I also have a Patreon. I do a podcast every 2 weeks, bi-weekly podcast. If you subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to the podcast. That's pretty much it. But yeah, thank you so much for checking out my content. And bye. Hopefully I don't get destroyed by people. But it's okay if I do. I'm still going to make videos. Nothing's going to stop me. Bye.